Hey everybody, good evening on a Thursday evening here on East Coast. And my name's Eric. I'm a physical therapist. I enjoy running and really enjoy serving the running community. And yeah, so here I again tonight, going over some of the content of my book that's going to be released hopefully soon. And going over the, let's see, I think we went over the stuff in the back of the foot and ankle. Now we're going to talk about more on the inside of the foot and ankle, and most of the structures that can get involved in pain points and, minimize your ability to just simply walk sometimes. And so, yeah, let's kind of just dive into it. And this is where stuff on the inside of the foot and ankle is where most of the problems end up being because of a foot that tends to be either excessively mobile and or excessively weak. And most of the time, just getting these guys out of their pain is the most important thing. And there's, I think, 4, maybe 5 things I want to talk about to try to help you guys first off figure out what it is, where it is, and to maybe help give you some self-assessment tips, and then after that show you how to do some self-treatment, try to figure it out on your own, because sometimes it's particularly nowadays, it's really hard to get to the person that can really help you. It's always been not very easy, but I just want to make it, just show you that it's kind of it's possible to do on your own, and not have to go to somebody and figure it out and get out on the road and not worry about waiting to see somebody, and just inform you guys, because I know you guys like to kind of devour this stuff anyways. So anyhow, let's talk about it. So there's a number of structures on the inside of the foot and ankle we could talk about, and we will. As next week goes by. I'm probably going to take a break over the weekend, and I'll do another one tomorrow. But let's talk about the posterior tibialis muscle and tendon. It is by far probably the most important muscle to kind of help the arch stay up, particularly for a foot that's either too mobile, or a foot that is, mobile, and, it should be, but maybe excessively weak. And there's something else on top of this that most people don't hear about, is that sometimes we walk with our feet kind of toed out a little bit, and sometimes we run with our feet toed out a little bit. And so all 3 of those things, whether your foot is excessively pronating, or your foot is, a normal, mobile foot, but excessively weak. But the third thing is when we kind of walk with our feet toed out, and that puts a whole lot more stress on the structures on the inside of the foot and ankle. So the first one today we'll talk about is the posterior tibialis. And I just kind of want to show you something real quick, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what I meant by toeing out, even though you probably already have a pretty good idea. But so maybe that's kind of normal, right? Some people kind of walk like that. And if you can imagine people kind of, just for an excessive kind of sake, let me see if I can get all of me in here. There we go. Anyway, so you can imagine excessive, right? So that would be excessively toed out. And so if you try to progress over your foot, you can see how as we progress, we kind of go right over our arch, right? And so, not that anybody really walks like that very often, but after, maybe tens of thousands of strides with our feet toed out, maybe more than what is probably optimal, you can see how you can kind of drive on the inside of that foot and ankle and that arch, and maybe put structures on a little bit more stress. Now, toeing out a little bit is normal, okay? But excessive is when we just kind of drive that arch down, if that helps. And let me show you, kind of give you a little self-assessment tip for where it is. The posterior tibialis. Okay, so, yeah, anyway. So there's your ankle, right? There's my ankle bone. You can see that right there, I believe, on that picture. Your posterior tibialis kind of becomes a tendon right around here. And that's a weak point right there. When the muscle transitions into a tendon, it's a little weak. And then when it goes around the back of the ankle there, that's another, because it's a curve, right? So sometimes that ends up being kind of a weaker area. But then there's another place where it actually attaches right on the inside of your arch, right there. And that's when it also can become weak, when the tendon transitions into the bone. And there's a ton of bones this tendon actually attaches to, and that's why it's super important, like uber important, for maintaining the arch height. It primarily attaches to this bone called the navicular bone. However, it attaches to a ton of the other bones anyway. So anyway, 3 weak points. And it is really important to keep up the inside of your arch. It really probably is the most important one. You know, there's others, but that is the most important in your foot and ankle. And that's why it can take a lot of stress and take the hit when there's a little bit too much of a toed out or a little bit too mobile foot, or a foot that, you know, is maybe normal. This pronation word that we throw around maybe too often, and it's normal. So there should be your foot is known to be a mobile adapter. It needs to be a mobile adapter because where we walk, it's normal to have some of this. But when it's excessive, or if it's normal and it's the foot and ankle is weak, that's when we're running into issues. So strengthening is important, but that takes a little bit of time. So that's what we want generally, is to get out of the pain, right? So, and sometimes strengthening something that is already in pain is kind of hard to do. So first off, we try to get rid of the pain so that people can get back out on the road and start running again. So let's talk about that. So that's kind of where the pain is, or where the pain points sometimes lie. But there's another structure right there called the tibial nerve. So, and maybe I should do that tomorrow, just to kind of give you guys the idea between the difference of the two, because sometimes they tweak a little bit different, and there's different reasons why one is irritable versus the other. Sometimes what you do for one and the other is similar, but we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow, because the tibial nerve goes right along the same area, so it can kind of mask, and people might think you have, posterior tibial tendonitis or whatever, and no one's talking about the tibial nerve that goes right in that same area. No one's talking about that. So it's worth getting out to you guys. So let's see here. Yeah, anyhow, so let's get this thing back. So number one thing, and I've talked about, let's see, the back of the foot and ankle, and the mobile foot, and the high arch foot, and taping techniques. But this taping technique, I'm going to show you again. It's funny how the importance of the arch height, arch mobility, ends up creating an environment that's successful with running or not. And there's a couple other things that go along with that, right? Like, so if your foot's matched to the right shoe, if your foot is old, if you've all of a sudden increased your mileage, the amount of days you're actually running, or the intensity that you're running, all that stuff kind of comes together. And after about 300 miles, you really need to probably end up, getting a brand new shoe anyways. Anyway, most of these people that have a problem with this area, they generally need to get a stability shoe. So that's one thing. But really, to kind of assess a little bit more whether or not a stability shoe is going to be important, let me show you the taping technique again that will help out. Let me do one more thing. So I use this rock tape stuff a lot. And sometimes I'll double layer it. If one layer helps, 2 layers will probably help a little bit more. And it really kind of helps set the tone for where I think my treatment is gonna go for people. So I just thought I'd share with you guys and help you guys out with your pain points. And yeah, because people sometimes just can't get to the right people fast enough, particularly now. So yeah, anyway, first things first is so the posterior tibialis helps out the arch height, right? So what we need to do is to kind of maximize the arch height and then do the posterior tibialis. And it's that sequence first, and I'll show you the sequence here. Anyway, so let's go ahead and do this. You can see me. There we go. All right, so for this tape job, like the problems for the back of the heel and ankle and back here, it's similar for this. For a mobile foot, you want to do this. And this is the test to know whether or not which direction to go in with the shoe, with the insert, the strengthening afterwards. But we're just going to talk about the easy stuff and just make sure you guys get out of pain. So anyway, so what I do is I kind of plantar flex or point my foot down and out. So I rotate it so that my big toe is down. So I start with this. Kind of tack that down right there. And the stretchiness of the tape, it ends up being maybe 50 to 75% of what the tape can generally allow. And I'll go to the other side of the heel just a little bit. I'm still in the back of the heel. As you can see, but it's just kind of in this direction. It's not straight back. It's kind of down and around to the other side of the heel. Anyway, so I'll put one down, but sometimes it may not be enough, right? So what I'll do is I will do another one. Because this tape does a fantastic job, but if you double it up, it does an even better job. So anyway, there we go. Same kind of thing. Just tack down the first maybe inch or two and stretch it out maybe 75-ish, 50 to 75% of it. And there you go with that. Now you've pretty well essentially kind of shortened up the arch, and you've given it a little bit better of a, if you can tell, my foot is pretty well planted now the way that tape is. It's created a pretty good arch right there now. So then after that, what I'll do, that puts the posterior tibialis in a pretty shortened position. It gets the arch high so that the arch is allowing the posterior tibialis to be slightly more on slack, which it really wants if it's in pain. And then the direction of this one will be straight along the tendon and the muscle, if that makes sense. I want to put the tendon and the muscle on slack because it really wants that really bad. Another one. And I'll just double that up. Go right along where the tendon and muscle lie. Right in through there, right? And the first thing right after you put that on is that you want to have, there we go. You want to have your sock put on right afterwards, because otherwise that tape job you just put on is going to pop right off. And be careful how you put it on, because otherwise that tape rolls right up. So just kind of stretch out your sock as you put it on. And there we go. Nice and smooth, and you get no rolls. But you see what I did though there, right? You end up putting the arch a little bit higher. Hey, bro. What's up? Good to see you. Good to see you, David. All right, anyway, so those two things combined, we'll see how they'll just create a little bit better arch all on its own, right? What you just did right there. And so if you do that and your pain feels better, it's almost a slam dunk. You need to start looking at stability shoes. First off, do this tape job. And if it helps, then, you know, it's like a, amen. Thanks, David. If that tape job helps, you need to consider stability shoes, okay? And then on top of that, and so what I end up doing most of the time, if getting stability shoes ends up helping out some, what I'll do is I'll have them purchase stability shoes, the ones that are comfortable, and most running stores or running shops online have a fantastic return policy because they understand the importance of a good fitting shoe. And so generally you don't have to worry about that too much. But I ask them to get a good stability shoe, have them come and slide the shoe in there, right? And then do the tape job again. So if the shoe ends up helping and the tape job combined end up helping decrease some of that pain there, well then what I'll do on top of that is take the tape job off, what I just showed you, and slide in a firm but forgiving kind of an arch support. Something, maybe there's some carbon fiber ones out there. There's some, you know, plastic molded ones that you can buy over the counter. I used to make orthotics, and most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, and over the counter shelf orthotic can do just as good a job, and it's not like $200 or $300. Most of the time, it's really not that important. You can just get something over the counter and do just as good of a job and get it like now and not have to worry about ordering it, waiting weeks or whatever, and then going back and forth and adjusting it and whatever. Sometimes it's really not that important to get it custom. Oh, sounds nice. You can get to it a little bit quicker on your own. Anyway, so if the insert and the shoe also makes it feel better, then, but not quite go away, another thing that ends up helping, and I've talked about it often enough, is those Hoka kind of roller rocker bottom shoes. It creates, and not forever, but as a treatment tool or technique, and there's a cult following for that shoe, or that model or that type of shoe, that kind of rocker bottom shoe, because it allows for smooth progression of the foot without the tendons and the joints and the muscles really having to work, you know, really quick and be on and off fast. They kind of, I call it more like a dimmer switch, you know, kind of a slow on and a slow off, even if you're running or jogging. It just makes things feel a little bit better. So it's helpful, you know, for a treatment technique or a go-between between being completely pain-free and trying to get back out on the road and be pain-free. Anyway, so those are pretty well the things that I combine to see if we can make it feel better. And I'll say it again, you know, runners are notorious for continuing to run, even though it's in pain. Even though they're in pain, their body's screaming for something to make it feel better, and it just, you know, they'll keep running because, and I get it. You know, I don't like it when I can't run either. So, you know, and most of the time I need to listen to myself more than I'm talking to everybody else, because it's the truth. But nonetheless, to make it, to actually heal, you can create a fantastic, with the stuff I just talked to you about, you can create a fantastic healing environment and make it feel better, and possibly go for a light jog and just test it out, maybe quarter mile, half mile, you know, give it a day, maybe 48 hours, and just kind of see if it can tell you whether or not it felt good or not, because during the run and directly, immediately after a run, sometimes isn't enough time. You got to give it a little bit more time to let you know whether or not I liked it or not, or if it was that big of a deal or not. Sometimes it takes 2 days, 48 hours. So, yeah, and as we're healing, our body's fantastic at healing. We just need to give it the opportunity to heal. We don't need the pills, we don't need the injections, we don't need the surgery most of the time, although that's the people that we generally go through almost every single time. And most of the time, they're not going to tell you what I just told you. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to tell you. Yeah, really the taping technique I just showed you is kind of the test for posterior tibialis tendonitis. It's the test. If it makes it, for me in the clinic, if it makes it feel better, perfect. You know the direction to go. We can talk about strengthening afterwards, but you really need to get the area, fairly pain-free before you get into a whole lot of strengthening. So this is kind of the go-to first, and make people just feel better and let the thing heal, for crying out loud. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, so the severity, the last thing, right? The severity of the pain, or how chronic it is, how long it's been around, is kind of how bad the pain is kind of going to dictate how good the relief is with the things that we just talked about. But if there is relief, and just relief, right? If there's relief, then chances are, man, we got to go this route, and the stuff that we just talked about. So if you missed any of that, it's going to go up on my my group page, and there's a ton of other stuff that I share on my group page, a running motivation and training league. Just help motivate you guys and get it so that you guys can go out, run, check some stuff, do some stuff on your own, and while you're waiting to see the physician or PT or chiropractor or podiatrist or whatever, and just kind of make it happen for yourself. Let's see, is that it? Yeah, that's about it. So I hope this was helpful to you guys, and I love serving the running community, and people at large generally, just because we walk, can get some help from this stuff that we're talking about here on this live. So if just want to say hey to everybody here, if everybody's still here. Hey Kimberly, thanks for coming on, and Kyle, and Marie, hey, good to see you again, and Beth, and June, and let's see, Amber, Captain Bailiff, you're awesome, man. Thanks for coming on. And Mark, Steve, and Daryl, dude, we gotta talk, man. I left you an instant message about you. I wanted to see how you're doing. But yeah, so anyway, Daryl instant message me later, man. Been meaning to chat with you. Hoping you're doing well, though. Yeah, that's it. Peace. Hope you guys are doing well. I try to do these to give you guys some good information. Sometimes when it's hard to find some. And we're going to keep going through the foot and ankle and lower leg. And if you guys want me to talk about anything else, I'd be happy to. But some of this content that I'm giving you, most of it is right out of my book that hasn't quite been published yet, but it's ready. I'm just waiting for the cover by a fantastic guy that I know that is awesome at what he does. So anyway, take care, and enjoy your weekend. I think it's today was kind of beautiful towards the end of it. Hope it's gonna be a good one. Take care. God bless you guys.